Good afternoon, everybody. How are you doing, my beautiful people? I am Jamie from back in the internet. There is no Joe, and welcome to the warm down, where we look at last night's game, the good things, the bad things, and on to the next one. So let's start with the good things. Manchester United 2-1 winners against Fulham last night at Craven Cottage. A hard fought victory by Ollie's men, which could have gone either way, especially as Man United went down 1-0 within the first 5 minutes to Lookman for Fulham. Let's be honest, guys. Was everybody else pretty calm and pretty chilled out about that? Because I know I was. I know we'd gone 1-0 down, but I kind of felt like we were going to get back into it at any point. And there is that old saying that sometimes you can score too early. Anyway, looking at the statistics from last night's game, United had 61.6% of the possession. We had 5 shots on target, so did Fulham. We had 15 shots overall. Fulham had 12. We had 841 touches with 636 passes. We made 18 tackles, 15 clearances, had 8 corners and 2 offsides, which is dramatically lower than the Liverpool game where we had 8 and 7 of them were probably Marcus Rashford. So Manchester United go on to win 2-1 with goals from Eddy Cavani and Paul Pogba. And let me start the warm down by saying this man last night was absolute levels. And he has been, and I continue to be Pogba's biggest fan. I know it's no secret in the Manchester United community that not everybody is on board with Paul Pogba. However, you cannot look past this man at the moment. His goal last night was absolute mustard. He played really, really well last night, and he's starting to put in more consistent performances where the doubters and the Pogba outers and the haters are really going to have to start eating some humble pie at this rate because unlike certain players that are able to hide away from the media and hide away from football and all the coverage. Pogba isn't one of these talents. Pogba cannot do anything without somebody criticising something that he's done. For instance, Graham Souness will probably pull Pogba to pieces over the fact that he's starting to show good form instead of actually concentrating on the fact that he's actually starting to prove himself and show some more consistent form. And I know there are going to be people out there that are going to say, well, Paul Pogba's been there for 4 years. Sooner or later he was either going to come good. But let's not forget, it wasn't that long ago where everybody wanted Paul Pogba out. He had no second chance, third chance, fourth chance. Raiola was a cunt. He is a cunt. I'll agree with that. And we didn't want to see Paul Pogba anywhere near the Manchester United team again. Now, all of a sudden, the guy's on smoke. He's literally pulling balls out of midair, turning inside and pinging worldies, absolute worldies. And he's looking like a more complete player as well. He's looking like he's giving the midfielder a whole brand new lease of life. So last night, Paul Pogba, absolutely majestic and mercurial, whatever you want to call him. But I thought he played a massive part in Manchester United's victory yesterday against Fulham, which incidentally has led us to the top of the league once again. Manchester United, top of the league. I will not get tired of saying that this season at all. Leading us to players that played well yesterday. Tony Marshall is not one of those players who played well at all yesterday. I know I criticised him in the last video I did and probably the video before that, but Tony, where is it all going wrong at the moment? Tony Marshall was poor, to say the least. And that's me being kind to him. I don't think he had a good game. I don't think he's had a good season. I don't think he's playing through this form at all. And he's very, very lucky that Manchester United are able to get goals and find results when this guy is meant to be our number 9. And I know we played Cavani last night, a true number 9, but his touch was off. And there was this corner that Manchester United took where he received the ball. He turned out, he had the defender closing him, and he just sort of kicked it out. He looks devoid of confidence. He looks devoid of talent. at the moment. And I know that sounds like I'm being overly critical, and to a degree I believe I am, but I genuinely believe that there's a better player in there somewhere, and we're not seeing the best of him. And to bench Rashi and start Martial sort of baffled me a little bit last night. I'd have much rather have seen Rashi on the pitch with Mason, with Cavani, and going full bore and trying to get the game wrapped up by half time instead of persevering with Martial and hoping that he was going to score a couple of goals or play through this form or whatever. But I genuinely think that it's about time now we give Tony a rest, because I'm not impressed at all at the moment. Speaking of people that are impressing me and continue to impress me, this little Portuguese wizard, Bruno Fernandes. Last night I saw a few people saying that Bruno didn't exactly play that well last night. I saw a few comments in the chat saying that Bruno shouldn't be taking shots like that outside the box. Let's be honest, if that first shot would have gone in, that cleared off the post, everybody would be talking about it as potentially the second best goal that Manchester United scored last night after the Pogba one. Bruno is consistently putting up numbers and making that midfield tick. He's making those darting runs, he's dropping deep, he's winning the ball back, he's being quite aggressive when he needs to be. His physicality's not all there, but come on. Bruno Fernandes is an absolute magician. This guy is just clearly levels above. This guy we brought in to save our season. This guy looks like he's going to save our club. And when we look at Manchester United, I think we're starting to have a bit more of a likability factor. I think that's what we've missed at Manchester United for quite a long time. There was a period of time where nobody actually liked the club or wanted to admit that they liked the club. They didn't particularly like certain players. But then when you see this guy on the pitch, you can't help but dislike this guy. You can't help but dislike the stuff that he does or the stuff that he tries. And yes, it can be a little bit frustrating at times when you see Bruno trying the Hollywood pass. But again, kind of like Pogba, if Bruno's not going to try that pass, nobody else in that team will. Now, I love McTominay and I love Fred. And by the last episode, you would have seen how much I loved McFred. However, you won't see Fred trying to thread the ball through the eye of a needle. And you definitely won't see Scott trying to do the same thing. So with Bruno Fernandes, again, I thought he played really well last night. I thought he looked a little bit tired at the end, and maybe him coming off was the right decision. It probably is the right decision. I would bench him against Liverpool come the weekend. As much as I want a result over the Scousers, I would much, as I'm sure you lot would, prefer to see Man United lifting the trophy at the end of the season, potentially, and the Scousers having to swallow that rather than them lifting an FA Cup that, let's be honest, nobody really gives a shit about anymore. And partly that is probably due to us pulling out of it that one year. But in this COVID sort of 2020, 2021 hangover, with all these additional games that don't need to be played in cup competitions that could and should really be put on hold, is the FA Cup really the big one? No, it's the league, and that is what we need to be concentrating, because, like I said earlier, and it's been about 5 minutes since I said it, Man United currently are top. And unlucky last night to Aston Villa, just as a side note, Aston Villa did really, really well and held out against City for very long stretches and could have actually scored a few themselves had it not been for one of the strangest decisions, looking back on it, I've ever seen in football. So unlucky, but that just shows that Man City are there to get got at. And if teams like Aston Villa can push them to 80 minutes plus before conceding any sort of goals, then I can genuinely see City probably dropping some points along the way. So that leads us to my man of the match. And without a shadow of a doubt, this guy has absolutely led this front line for every single game he has played. Now, Pogba scored a worldie and played well. Bruno played really well. But my man, El Matador, wow. Now, he is a striker, and it absolutely breaks my heart that we have got him at 33, 34. Because if he would have come to Manchester United earlier on in his career, can you imagine the sort of things we would have done with a player of that caliber, a player of that natural ability. He was excellent yesterday. He challenged every ball. He picked up every scrap. He made himself available whenever he needed to make himself available. Eddy Cavani looked like a man possessed yesterday. Now, he seems to be one of these players that has come to Manchester United, a bit like Zlatan, without the arrogance, but has picked up the game and the Premiership by the scruff of his neck and just said, look, this is my team, these are my goals, and we're going to win these points at all costs. And he puts himself on the line. I genuinely thought last night that Eddie looked fantastic. He, like I say, battled for everything. He took his goal really, really well. And poacher's instinct, which is the sort of goal that I'd imagine, especially at present, that Martial would probably not be ready for, would not pick up, would not sniff out. It was a terrible mistake by the goalkeeper, first and foremost. Areola had played really well up to that point, but then he sort of palmed it into the middle of the goal, which as a keeper you're taught never to do, and you shouldn't be doing that with one of the deadliest strikers in world football. In Eddy Cavani can sniff it out and pick it up. So yeah, for me, my man of the match, 100% was Eddy Cavani. I thought the team played well from front to back. But David De Gea didn't have much to do, but when he did and was called upon, he played well enough. But Wan-Bissaka looked okay. Positionally, he looked a lot better than he did against Liverpool, but that might be due to the fact we were playing Fulham and not Liverpool. I thought Boye, it was nice to see him back alongside Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire looked more assured about 20 minutes in. I will say this though, Harry Maguire cannot head a fucking ball to save his life. Harry, Jacob Maguire, sort it out, mate. So anyway, I thought Maguire was better, apart from he can't head a ball for shit. Thought Luke Shaw looked a little bit quiet, a little bit, I wouldn't say poor, but a bit mediocre yesterday. He seemed to just saunter through the game and not really do much. I thought the midfield three of Pogba, Bruno and Fred ticked over really nicely. Fred, again, another one of these that looked a little bit like he was a bit erratic for 20 minutes, but after the 20-minute period, he seemed to calm down. He looked a lot more stable. He gave United a bit more of a stable base to work from. Pogba, like I said last night, was absolutely on smoke. Bruno, again, played really, really well. And then we get to the top three, the front three, where we got Mason. I thought Mason did well yesterday. I thought he used the space that he was given quite well. Martial, I thought was poor. Again, genuinely, if I had to rank him out of 10, I'd give him a 4. And then Cav, who was my man of the match, who went out there and absolutely bossed it from start to finish. So, yeah, fellow Reds, this has been Back in the Internet, the warm down, trying to bring more content, trying to get the show out more often to you guys, trying to raise the production values a little bit by adding sort of graphics and bits and pieces, posting on a lot more Facebook pages at the moment, getting some great interactions with some of you guys as well. Please keep it coming. Like I said, if you want to raise anything in these videos, or you want to talk about anything, or you think that me and Joe should be looking at subjects, or you have your own opinions on Manchester United, you may agree with me, you may not agree with me. That's even better. That sets it up for debate. Like I said, with Man United, it's all about debate, and that's what makes these shows. So, I've been Jay from Back in the Internet. Please like, please subscribe, please follow us on the Twitter, which should be below down there. And please comment on the Facebook pages and on Twitter and let us know what you want to see and what we should discuss. And as always, on to the next one. I'm Jay from Back in the Internet, signing out. Peace.